It's September 19th, 2019, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I didn't know my mic was on. That's why I was waiting. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in once again. We are coming to you live via the airwaves on 105.5 FM, WLPN, from Studio B, as always. WLPN LP, Chicago. Yes, okay. Can you tell that I've got bit of a ball buster here sitting next to me again? Okay. Mr. Logan Bay, the fearless leader of Lumpen Radio, is here. Yeah, he heard the dump button got used last week, and he said, you know what, I just got to make sure. Let me just get in here myself. It also seemed like Chris was having a good time, so let me make sure that doesn't happen, and, just crack the whip a little bit, kick some chairs. But hey, that's how he gets his enjoyment. Everyone likes different things. He likes bringing other people down. So I get it. I appreciate it. And I still thank him, no matter what, for having us on yet again to the co-prosperity sphere. So thank everyone at Lumpen. Thanks to Jamie as well. And everyone who helps out here. Haven't heard from Serge in a while. I don't know. I heard he's working with Johnny Ives. That's the rumor out in Cupertino. So anyway, but yeah, maybe we'll be hearing from him soon. That would be cool. Would it kill you to write, Serge? Huh? Pick up the phone every once in a while. People who are listening for the first time are just they're tuning. They've already tuned out. If you are tuning in over the airwaves, Nitch would want me to mention that you can hop on to the chat room at tlk.io/WLPN. That's tlk.io. No, it's tlk.io/WLPN. And there you go. If you're listening via podcast, and apparently, the iTunes, the Apple Podcast app doesn't work anymore. That's what I'm being told. I don't know. Works for me, but I'm guessing it doesn't work anymore. So wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. They just have ways of finding the RSS feed. I'm not sure how all that stuff works, but nobody has complained. Maybe it's because nobody listens. I never thought about that. Nobody's listening. No, but if you are listening, I do appreciate it. Always appreciate the reviews that you guys leave and the letters. If you do want to leave a letter, we've made a little bit of a change. You're not going to send it to the Beer Temple because another letter was lost. I don't know if you know that, Logan. Another letter was lost. Oh, man. Somebody actually spends the time to get a stamp. Find a place where stamps are sold these days and stick them onto a letter, write a letter, and send it. And then just for it to get all the way here and then be lost. So, anyway. So you send it now to the Beer Temple. That's at 3173 North Elston Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, 60618. But yeah, for those of you who are still tuned in and listening for the first time, essentially what this show is, the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable, is a group of people who love beer and have made beer a part of their lives in one way or another, whether it's by making beer or giving away beer or traveling to the Northeast to consume beer or, having a store where they sell beer, whatever it is. They've made beer a part of their lives and are passionate about beer, we all get together and just talk about beer. So that's what this show is. And with that, I will introduce my guests. But before I do, I have to mention that their opinions are their own and not the opinions of Lumpin' Radio or any other entity that they may or may not be affiliated with. So what are these opinions that I'm talking about? Who are these people who have these opinions that are their own? Well, you're going to find out right now. My first guest, we always introduce our guests in order of seniority, that being how many times they've been on the show. So, Fitz, you like beer. How are you, man?
How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. It's good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. And great to see Logan. He's the real star of this show, aren't you, buddy? Yeah, you are.
You sound like you're talking to a cat.
There's my little buddy. Yeah. There he is.
What's up with you, man?
Not much. Just getting ready for the fall.
Yeah?
Yep. Can't wait for Fobab to come around the corner. I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah.
You're excited? You're excited this year?
Yeah.
Are you excited every year? Or
for
especially
Fobab? I don't know. Just this year, it just seems like it's been a while since we had a beer fest. It's almost like Great Taste was eons ago, but I know it was only a couple.
Did you have fun at Great Taste?
As always. That's my favorite beer event of the year.
Yeah, I think it is mine too.
And am I crazy in saying that it's never had bad weather?
You know what? It does sometimes. I've never had it rain the entire time, but it often rains for a little bit. And in fact, I think this past year it rained for a little bit, I thought.
I don't remember it
just
raining
for
at all. Then again, usually run under the tents, but
yeah. But I think it like rains just for a bit and then doesn't. But it's that time of the year in this part of the country where it's always kind of nice.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of refreshing when it rains when we're out there.
So the cool thing is for Fobab, I think that we're going to be doing some fun events around Fobab this year. We always do some, but it's sounding like there's going to be some cool breweries who want to do some stuff with us, and maybe some guys who are out of market and haven't ever been here before.
Nice.
Yeah, a couple that I'm very excited about. They're out on the beach on the West Coast.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
They're enjoying the beach right now? Or
like the wood and the beach and stuff like that. Yeah.
Really well done.
Yeah. But anyway.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
What else do you want to talk about?
Well, it's your intro, but
hijacked it.
Yeah, you hijacked it. Everything else is good?
Everything's fantastic. Yeah, I can't complain.
Good. My next guests are now
equally.
It's equal, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
You got to go by age.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
Youth.
Yeah. Mr. Ryan Jacobs of Saint Laurent.
Hey.
It's Saint Laurent, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. That's fine.
It's whatever you want to say.
What is the name of your brewery,
Chicago.
Ryan?
We say Saint Laurent.
We say Saint Laurent, but I think Chicago's taking it over as Saint Arent.
Arent?
It is Chicago after
Saint
all.
Arent?
You have to throw the air in there. Arent. But no, I think we've gotten just not tired, but we've just stopped correcting people. If you want to call it Arent and we're in Chicago, then
it's like
let them have
Pliny
it.
the Younger. Pliny the Younger.
Well, I mean, the worst is right here in the Chicagoland area, I would say, with Mr. Jerry Nelson's Unane or Uni Annie.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be called Uni Annie.
Uni Annie, which I don't know if he still corrects people. We don't at the shop anymore. We're just like, okay, Uni Annie it is. Yeah, it's this one. What do you have from Uni Annie? That. So what's up with you? So you mentioned right before the show that the last time you were on, St. Arent hadn't even brewed a beer yet.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if we had brewed a beer, if it was our beer. It wasn't ours. It was a collab, if anything, with Mikey at Microphone. But yeah, there was no St. Arent commercial beers even in the tanks yet.
Wow.
It's been a while.
All right, so get everyone caught up. Where are you at now?
Yeah, so we were at Microphone for, 8-9 months, which was a lot of fun. And then as things kind of picked up for us, moved over to our good buddy Kevin Carey at Beguile. Had some tanks there. More capacity. Got ourselves in cans. And we've been there for the last 18, 19 months now. And things are going well. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Jeez.
Yeah. So,
how often do you brew at Beguile?
once every 3 weeks or so. We just based off of kind of how we get beers out there, or we kind of have to put them all at the same time. So with that said, we have 3 tanks and we fill them all at the same time. Well, or at least over the course of a few days.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll be there, and then maybe somewhere else. But obviously, would like to get our own space, our own brick and mortar sometime in the near future. It's just easier thought about than done.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of fun to think about.
It's a lot of fun to think about. Drive by buildings, think that looks cool. Stick a brewery in there, and then
I'm guessing. So I live right around Beguile. I'm very, very close. And I'm guessing one of the reasons you guys are there and maybe a little slow to find your own place is because your business partner, I think he lives right around there because I see him walking his dog in front of my house every now and then. I'm probably out there in like my underpants. I was like, "Hey, Chris."
For as long as it takes him to walk over there, it takes me that long to bike over there. So we're both pretty dang close.
I think that word's just fine.
That's kosher.
It just got a little bit of a scowl from Logan, so that's fine. But speaking of your business partner, we have Mr. Banks here. How are you?
Good.
Brent?
How are you, neighbor?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's funny. It's nice, knowing your neighbors, but then you're also like, oh, I have to
Wave.
Well, yeah, I have to wave, but I also can't be like screaming, like vein bulging out of my forehead at my child, and then like look over and like see somebody that I work with, like, oh, hey, no, nothing to see here. Normal, well-adjusted family. That's all.
Quit recording.
Exactly.
Call the Child Protective Services.
Just if you go there,
Got them on speed dial when I walk by your house.
Chances are something will be going on. Just take a look. What's new with you?
I think Ryan covered most of it, but yeah, it's going well at Beguile. I think we're enjoying brewing there, and it's good. And
are you guys doing a lot of fests this fest season?
We did a decent. We don't do a whole lot because of our volume.
And there's only
constraints.
2 of us.
and there's only 2 of us.
You are
standing
around
so,
those you two.
Yeah. Sometimes fests are a little difficult just with the amount of volume that we produce. We don't dump a lot of kegs out to the market, so when you have, just a couple kegs out there, putting 2 or 3 at a festival is kind of a big deal. So we pick and choose and do a couple of the bigger stores that ask for stuff. And what else do we do? Obviously, beer under glass and a few others, but that's about it.
You doing Fobab?
No.
Too much beer tied up into that?
We have a few barrels, but when you're contract brewing at a smaller spot in the city, it's hard to have a lot of barrels. And space is at a premium, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So for us to say, oh, we want to put, 40 barrels in there, it's like, we got about if you've had, Beguile just had a big barrel-aged barley wine release and really really good beer. They put a lot of that in barrels in the back. So
yeah, takes up a lot of space, and specifically with Fobab, I don't think a lot of people realize how much beer they ask for a festival of that size. That's a huge fest. And,
it is,
and it goes
3 per session, right? 3 sixtals.
I thought it was.
One sixtel per session.
Yeah,
depending on how many beers you have per session, right?
I thought it was something like 3 sixtels or 2 halves or something.
I think it's if I remember, it was like a sixtel per beer.
It works out to a half barrel total per beer.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I remember after talking to one of the organizers.
Okay,
and that's. It is ideally they're using that money to lobby for us and do good things. So that's good, but we just don't have that much volume, nor do we have any of those beers completed. So hopefully soon, though, we'll have some barrel-aged beer. So a little bit.
Well, very cool. Let's get right into it. Are there any beers you guys had lately that you've enjoyed? Fitz, why don't you go? You're the senior member. I
just had the Spiteful Rattler yesterday.
For the first time?
I had the first batch, and since the first batch, they said they had more tangerine.
Yeah.
Man, it is delicious. It's quite crushable. It's less than 3%. Mm-hmm. And I could do that, quite often.
Yeah.
That's what I've told these guys in the last few weeks that It seems like the older you get, the more you just want lower ABV.
I think that's true. I think that the trend is that way because a lot of people, and maybe it's just because my peers are all getting older, but I'm hearing people.
Well, we
say
set
that.
the trend, isn't that how it works?
Well, you definitely
your show sets the trend.
Yeah, I mean that's why Hill Farm's popular.
Right.
I would assume. I would assume.
But yeah, it was delicious.
Can we talk a little bit about going to maybe later? We'll talk about the beers, then we'll talk about FOFA.
Okay.
Because because you and I went.
Did you incapacitate yourself?
No, that was at
Great Taste in the Midwest.
Yeah, and I didn't do it
every year.
I didn't do it to myself, but thank you.
It takes a lot of work to incapacitate yourself in saisons.
Yeah,
it's tough.
You should say you were overserved. It wasn't your fault.
I was overserved. Did you see me there when I was overserved?
At Great Taste?
At Great Taste, yes. Not this year, but
no, I didn't.
Previous years.
Yeah. Well, it was the last time was like 4 years ago. And I was
that you remember.
You're overserved.
Overserved something.
Yes.
And this time,
probably beer. I don't know.
And then it
Maybe.
happened.
I don't know what else.
And then this time, I wasn't overserved beer. I thought I was being served beer, but I was being served sake.
Oh no!
And did a Perone of 2 Perones of sake.
Wait,
that was
at
20% alcohol.
What's a Perone?
That's the thing that Off Color uses, that pouring
thing.
The
thin. Yeah. Oh no!
In your mouth, like the.
Yes.
Oh, you like the
2 of them. And then I was told afterwards it was 20 to 25% alcohol sake, and I was pretty sober at the time.
Well,
like if I had stopped drinking at that point, I could have driven home. Like there was still an hour to go in the fest, and I was fine.
But he wouldn't have because he had ingested some alcohol.
Right? Yes, right.
But
sake. Wow, what a bad choice.
I didn't know
milk would have been a good choice.
Didn't know it was
bad
sake.
Choice.
Didn't know.
Oh,
so then I was not happy when I learned what it was. And someone said, "Oh, you should have made yourself throw up," which for whatever reason I didn't think of at the time. Yeah. And then I was like, "Well, I have 45 minutes."
You were wearing the white suit, weren't you?
Yeah, my linen.
I
was in
dapper.
my linens.
That was nice.
Day. Anyway, what beers have you had, Brent?
When I just mentioned that Beguiled barley wine is off the hook. I mean, that's really, really nice. I think it's. I don't think they get a lot of credit for some of the barrel aged stuff they do, but it's awesome. Like,
what's the name of the beer?
I think it's Beguiled barley.
Batch 660.
Batch something.
660 something.
Okay. So it just got released, I think, last Friday or whatever, and it's delicious. I mean,
do they have variants?
They did on tap, so they dosed like an old fashioned one. They didn't bottle any variants that I know of.
Why do you ask? Just out of curiosity.
Last year was the first time I tried some of the variants, and they were just outstanding. So I was excited to see if they did them again this year.
So I know they dosed one with an old fashioned, which had, I think, cherry and orange peel, and I believe a vanilla, a cinnamon. I don't remember what all the variants were.
Coffee.
But coffee. Yeah. I didn't try the variants because I was kind of like in and out of the brewery, but I just tried the base and was like, oh.
It's funny how Goose Island accidentally did a coffee boiler wine, and now other breweries are jumping
at
on
Fobab.
that. Yeah, right? Remember, they're like, oh, no, wait. Oh, this is it. Sorry.
It was so good.
It was delicious.
It was so good. That, and then they had a poblano pepper BCS that year. Remember? That was good.
Ooh,
it was hot.
I don't think I had that.
It was hot because I don't know when you had it. I had it at the beginning of session 2, so it had been sitting in that little tank all in between sessions, and
soaking it up.
Was hot. But anyway, I don't think people want to. Do you guys out there listening want to hear about a beer I had 7 years ago at FOBAP?
Do you hear the crickets?
Yeah, right. How about you, Ryan?
Beer from this guy, actually, that he brought back when he was in Vermont last. Rawaka from Hill Farmstead.
When you were there this past weekend?
Yeah.
No. Profa,
okay.
Come on.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Rawaka. It was their single hop pale ale, I believe.
Okay.
It was a hop I've never had before out of New Zealand. And
yeah.
It's really nice. Subtle, but kind of like a twin, but prettier sister than Nelson.
Yeah. Rawaka has been around for a bit, and then I used to think people were calling Raquel. And I
Yeah.
used to think it was
Yeah.
like them saying it wrong because I'd heard of Rawaka. Because Rawaka, wasn't that in... That was in the old Akari Shogun.
Was it?
Had Rawaka in
Really?
it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I just learned that I'm like pronouncing all the New Zealand hops incorrectly from my buddy Roger at Maplewood. Like he's like, they are very
Americanized.
pronunciations versus what you would like. What is it? Matuer or whatever is really
Motor
or something like that. Mooter.
It's spelled
Motor?
Moutere, and you want to say like moutier, like a correct
French.
like French pronunciation. It's just mooter.
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 Yeah.
No,
So-
I mean, it's Anglo.
Yeah.
And they're very, very far from France. So that
They
whole
are-
thing
They
hasn't,
are. Yeah.
that hasn't caught on where every saison needs to be a name in French or something like that. Remember when Corey King started that whole thing? We. So is that all right? So no, it's my turn. Oh,
Yeah, what you been drinking?
I didn't
You
really.
I've been seeing some of your Instagram posts where you guys have to guess what beer it is. You have
Yes.
10 guesses.
Those are fun.
Those are interesting.
they're fun.
You guys don't get a lot of them, huh? You get frustrated, and then you're just like, "What is it?"
No, we've had. I'm well above 500%, 50%, batting over 500. Yeah,
Are you
I do more. I get more than half right.
really?
I think we all do.
Well, it's your
Max
shop.
might
You
be
should
right
know
around.
what's in there, right?
I know it less than Max for sure. He's the buyer. So
Who's in second place, Steven?
I think I'm in second or first, and then if I'm not in first, it would be Steven, and then Max is bringing up the rear. So
Is Ryan not involved in these?
no, some people
Wow.
won't want to be, and maybe Ryan can hop in, but anyone, I mean, anyone can do it. A lot of people don't want to. There was a rep in the other day saying, "Oh, I can do it. I could, you guys, I would have gotten all those." I'm like, "You want to do it?" It's like, no.
How do you organize this? Is it
It's literally
Blind
just
beer.
somebody picks a beer from the shop, and yeah, for people who aren't. So it's a game we played, and we just
Yeah.
put it on an iPhone when we were just kind of bored. So anything from the shop, but it can't be from the back room. It can't be something that a rep dropped off that isn't for sale.
something for sale on the shelf?
Yes, exactly. So you pull it, you pour it, and then the person has like 10 yes or no questions to figure out what it is.
So like Belgian. Is it Belgian?
Yes.
Yes.
American. What part? North, south, east, west?
Geography.
Do you chill?
is a
Do you
huge
chill
thing.
this? Like get it to serving
Yeah.
temp and
Yeah, we get it to we get them all down to probably around like 45 degrees is probably where we serve. 45 to 50 is where I guess we serve them at.
What's the least amount of guesses?
yeah, I was
that
gonna
it's
say
taken?
yeah.
Steven nailed it on the first try one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Bourbon County Stout, not too
Duchess
hard.
Burgundy.
Not,
No way, man.
Duchess Burgundy would be the one that I'm
It
like,
was
all right.
Scorched Earth Hickster Cream Ale. First guess.
wait, that's like
Does that have
in his fridge.
what is
His
Hickster?
go-to beer.
It's a cream ale.
That's all it is. Like
It's
nothing.
a cream ale. Just a cream ale. He figured out what it might have been, and then he knows that I am a fan of that beer, and you know who gives the beer.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
because somebody's answering the question, so you know it's that person, and he guessed it, and we always started out with a guess.
Do you write that beer off? How does that work? Who pays for that beer?
You know what? Yeah, it's a loss. Yeah, it just goes as a loss. Marketing expense.
When I'm up there, can you put a
Fuffoon.
token? Yeah, I want a token. Just put it up there.
You have to hope that I picked that for you.
Has anybody picked like a whale? Like really expensive beer?
No, nobody has, and we don't do beers that we know the person has like no shot at getting. Like if for me, honestly, if it was like if Saint Laurent dropped off a beer the day before,
Yeah,
there's no
it's-
way I would get it.
Yeah, unless you looked at the shelves.
But Max probably would get it. So I could pick that for him, but he wouldn't really pick it for me. I mean, he could, but it wouldn't be any fun.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I would know that it's a local, double dry hopped IPA or double IPA, and then, from somebody who's making it within the city limits, and then I'd be like, and I could even say, is it from Saint Laurent? Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
Still,
I don't know what it is, and that's happened. That's happened before with a brewery where I know the style, I know who makes it.
I saw the
I'm not gonna
Matilda
go
one, and you're just like, Matilda.
Yeah,
I
just
that
wasn't on my
that was a
radar.
layup for you, but no.
Right. We used to not show the beers either, but now the viewer sees the beer the entire
Good
time.
call.
Anyway, let's talk about FOFA a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes,
So,
yes.
Thank you for the invite.
Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last minute, we had some cancellations, so we had an extra ticket.
Did Sean ask for you to invite me?
Of course he did. He said, please, 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 please. A lot of pleases.
That's
and then
nice. So for those of you out there who know Fitz from the show, and we give him a hard time and stuff about going to Vermont a lot, I will tell you one thing that is the truth. There was a long line of people to get a pour of beer right at the beginning, and who was at the front of the line pouring the beer was Mr. Sean Hill. And when Fitz gets to the line, oh, hey, Fitz, what's up, man? How you doing?
Well,
chit-chat for a little bit.
he also said hi to you, so it's...
Not that time. He didn't know who the heck I was.
But you had your name tag on.
Time,
I'm
right.
Chris Quinn
Then
and your Beer
I
Temple
came
shirt
by later.
and your
Yeah.
hat.
And
he's
then he recognized me the second time.
He's very kind. It was very kind of him to say hi and ask, whatever, small talk. It was great. And the beers were flowing.
It's like, you're putting my kids through college.
Yeah, thanks for the addition.
Yeah, exactly.
Appreciate that. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful weekend it was, too.
Yeah, it was good.
That was your
times.
first FOFA. You've been to Hill Farmstead, but it was your first FOFA?
Yes, because it's often at the same time as Great Taste, I believe.
Right.
So I'm
just lucky. Your wife was awesome to allow
Yeah.
you to go.
Yes.
And it was your
with like 3 days notice.
anniversary weekend. So you were in and out on a Concorde. They actually brought the Concorde out of retirement to fly him in and fly him out.
I missed my flight on the way back. You know that, right?
I didn't know that.
You dropped me off.
Right.
I went there. You had
'Cause
to
there was
be
no
there
Uber.
There was no Uber, so you had to be there a half hour before, or they won't issue you a boarding pass, and you can't print it out ahead of time or get it on your phone, because on the economy, it was United, and the basic economy, they don't you have to print it out there. They don't let you do it ahead of time. So I would have been fine. I would have just checked in the night before, been fine, walked right in. I get there, the person in front of me gets on, doing the same thing. I step up. They're like, oh, let me hurry. And they're like, oh, no, they shut me out. You can't get on the plane. I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's my 10th anniversary today. I have to get home. Yeah, no, we can't. Let me try. No. And then they route me onto another one. I'm freaking out. Tiny airport, Burlington.
Yeah.
So half hour before the plane.
Heady topper the entire time there. So
Right.
you're probably doing.
So then, make a long story short, I was like, they're going to route me somewhere else. I was like, just the next direct one out of here. Give me a ticket. I go through security. That took about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And then there's only 2 gates. So it's right there.
The one with the plane.
The plane hadn't even started boarding yet. Wouldn't let me on, hadn't started boarding yet. So I'm sitting there, not on the flight that hasn't started boarding yet. I go up to the front, explain it to them, not at all nice. Basically won't talk to me at all. I'm telling them it's my 10th anniversary. I have to get home. And they let everybody on. Then they call up everybody in standby because of the seats that had opened up. Let everybody on. Then she knew what I was trying to do, to switch my flight. And then she's like, okay, what? All right, let me see your thing. She's like, oh, you're so. And she turns to the guy next to her and she says, are there any seats left? And he goes, yeah, I think there's 1 seat left. She looks at me. She's like, you're so lucky. You're lucky you got me. I was like, I'm not lucky.
Am I?
I'm unlucky. No, give me
Hey,
the
get
thing.
ready to
I
hit the
got
dump
on.
button with yourself.
Yeah, right. I was. But I got on. It was outrageous.
How much later was this flight?
No, I got on the
Oh.
original flight.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
They just gave you, nice.
Yeah, but it was,
That's no bueno.
yeah, just like one of those things where I can be nice, but you know what? It's probably harder for me not to be nice, but I'll go out of my way to not be nice. That's fine.
So you got home just in time, got some flowers,
Yeah, got some flowers, exactly.
and happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. There you are.
That's the
Why not?
thanks to
Went to
Margaret.
dinner. Yes.
Letting
So
you go.
cheers. Cheers to Margaret for letting me do that.
Was that the week after Great Taste?
First week of August, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I think
Yeah,
it was maybe a week or
August.
two.
Third, fourth,
after.
fifth. I think it was.
Yeah.
What'd
So,
you think of FOFA?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, it's a long way to travel for a beer fest. And I was definitely, in and out really quickly. The beers were excellent. There was literally not a bad beer there, which was kind of cool to go to a fest where, Fobab has great beer, but there's also a lot of beers that are no good. And that's the same with Great Taste of the Midwest, too. You're just going to have beers. Now, there's going to be 1,000 beers at, the Great Taste, but versus, 35 beers or something at FOFA?
Mm-hmm.
But they were all, they were all bangers,
Delicious.
So it was, it was cool.
I did fun.
Yeah, my favorite, I think, was the collaboration they did with Santa Daris. That was great, which apparently it was 4 or 5 years old and is kind of a renowned beer that they did. And I'm just so ignorant. I was like, oh, I like that one. That's what I said to Sean. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's one of my favorites. I was like, okay, cool. And then I later was telling somebody about it. And they're like, oh, they brewed that again? That beer was legendary. And apparently they hadn't brewed it again. So it was kind of neat to have the super whales get pulled out.
Way to keep your finger on the pulse of the beer community, Chris.
Yep. But you know what else was one of the best beers there? Was the
lager.
Blaugie
Oh.
Vermontois.
You're a big fan.
Was not getting love because wasn't a hype whale, but
His lagers were delicious, too.
those were great too.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were. Everything there was great. The Russian River stuff was great. So you didn't like the Blaugie? You're not a fan?
I don't know. There's just something about just not on.
The tradability is not there.
No, if I were to pick that or a Florence or Arthur, I'm obviously picking the Florence or the Arthur. But I won't not drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Vermontois or whatever?
Yeah. The one that's available.
From Blaugie.
Here. And
Boy. I don't know. How many times have they brewed that? Is it
Well, Blaugie brews it, I think, quite a bit now.
okay?
I think they've made it part of the
is
regular.
there a variability to it? Because
I don't know.
I've gotten personally some plasticky
Bottles or draft?
bottles.
Draft, whenever we've had it, it's been,
Really?
oh my gosh, killer.
But
Yeah,
I've only had it once or twice, so it's
worth
been-
revisiting. It should be coming
Yeah.
back into the city. But plus they do green bottles of it, so that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, thank you once
Cheers.
again. It's probably about time for us to listen to some advertisement. What do you call them? They're called DJ announcements. What?
Probably not advertising.
Underwriting. That's what it's called. Underwriting. So, yeah, not commercials. It's underwriting. And then we'll come back in a few minutes with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn. I'm joined by Brent Banks, Ryan Jacobs, and Fitz, who likes beer, but not enough to be in the in Studio B on time because he's not here right now. Anyway, we were talking about the new BCS variants. We've talked about it on the show in the past, but I thought there might be some interesting perspectives on it this year. So we can give a rundown of what they are, or maybe we'll wait for Fitz. Fitz should probably be back soon, so we'll just talk about the weather. How's it by you? What's it like? Anyway, so whoops. Oh no. Now the Tribune's asking me to subscribe so I can see what it is. What should I ask you about Santa? You guys don't bottle anything anymore, right?
No. We'll bottle our
We'll keep the barrel aged stuff in
Yeah.
bottles. I think there's something about
Yeah.
bottles for barrel aged stuff that we kind of want to maintain.
This kind of the I don't know, it just seems a little more special to
I think
like an
it seems a little
occasion,
more
more of an
special,
occasion.
more of an occasion. The shareability of a bottle, and also a lot of times, like these beers, you're going to maybe put on your shelf for a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Something about a bottle on your shelf looks a little sexier than a can on your shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. We made like we did one set of stout bottles at Beguile, but we kind of made the choice that to do the 8-ounce cans for the bigger stouts.
Yeah,
And we
is
thought
that coming back?
They are coming back
Okay.
very, very soon.
Shortly.
Yeah,
Couple
yeah,
weeks.
a couple weeks. So we just thought that was like kind of a cool. We thought of it more of function over form, but everyone's like, "Oh, they're so cool, they're so cute," and we're just like, "Well, we don't want to drink 16 ounces of this beer, so we want to put them in a smaller format." So that was our thought on it, and then it kind of blew up.
Are your margins better on the little cans? I would.
They're actually a little bit worse.
Oh, really?
Because you're paying for more labels.
Yeah,
More
more labels,
cans.
more cans.
But it's
So
nice for the consumer, so they're actually
We get a little
not
push-
for consumer, right?
we get a little
Speak
pushback
into
on
the
it.
mic.
Oh, we're on.
Yeah. He's sitting there with like a baseball bat and a LaCroix. Yeah, we were killing time for you to come back.
thought you were starting a
Literally.
commercial.
No, we were killing time on air.
Did you see this bat?
Oh, it's been here for a while.
Bill Madlock.
So, all right, let's talk about the variants. You want to talk BCS variants?
Yeah.
You got the regular. You've got the double barrel, which is
2 barrels.
11. It's 11-year-old and 12-year-old Elijah Craig. 2-year reserve Bourbon County. That's 2 years and an 11-year age statement Knob Creek barrel. Reserve rye, which is Rittenhouse rye barrels. The wheat wine is coming back. Prop is obviously coming back.
What's the prop, though?
It's everything. It's a tiramisu.
Oh,
It's
nice.
a tiramisu. So it's going to be cacao, vanilla, toasted pecans.
Coffee.
Is it? I don't know. I don't know if it's. Cafe de Ola. It's a traditional Latin-infused coffee stout featuring intelligentsia coffee beans and cold brew, cinnamon, orange peel, and panela sugar. And then Bourbon County Moncherie Stout. It's basically cherries. It sounds like 2 different types of cherries
Moan cherry.
and granola. Oh, and there's granola in it too.
Like a bag?
I don't know. Yeah. So those are it. So you've got definitely some adjunct ones, but a lot are very much about the barrel. So you've got your double barrel. You've got the regular, which is aged in a mix of Heaven Hill, Buffalo Trace, and Wild Turkey barrels. You've got the double barrel. You've got the 2-year. You've got the rye, and then you've got for the adjunct ones you have Prop, Cafe de Ola, and Moncherie. So it's kind of half and half. What do you think about it, Fitz, that they're doing it more barrel focused? Or calling
they
it the
kind of
barrels,
needed to,
kind of like
revive.
50-50 used to.
They just need
Or
to bring
does.
some kind of life back into it. Not that they were hurting, but it wasn't as exciting anymore as it was in the past. You're lining up for it, trying to be what the variant was. Now you're like, okay, it's prop again, yada yada yada. I think it's a good idea for marketing purposes. Now I just want to see what the prices are going to be.
Do you
As
think-
always,
So do you? All right. So that's a
I think
good
they'll go
point.
up. Yeah, because think about it. If it's double barrel,
That's a good point. Yeah.
and if it's 2
2
years in barrel, that's going to be almost rarish. So if
Yeah.
they're not doing rare, that's your rare style. So price point, hopefully they leave out the
35. That's my
box. $35.
35
Yeah.
bucks is my guess.
35 because it's double barrel. Yeah, there you go.
Unfortunately. I'd rather go for like local guys. Look at
They
the
are
price
local.
point. Well, local
Well-
guys that are actually not. How do you say it?
Owned by a company in Belgium.
Locally
go.
owned.
Well, just you got Revolution, who's able to put out delicious barrel aged beers at a price point where the consumers can afford it, And as consumers, we appreciate that so much. And I think that's why we all love Revolution. But the Goose Island just, I don't know, just seems
That
like they
seems
keep
to be
creeping up the list.
when I talk to you, just generally, it is something that you talk about a lot, which is affordability in craft beer, whether it be special releases, whether it be events, whether it be just stuff in general. You feel very strongly that people or that businesses should not be maybe exploiting the fact that people will pay a lot of money for this stuff.
I don't know if we were on or off here when we were talking about, but the two guys sitting next to me, sitting around, they're taking a hit putting their stouts in small cans. And they can't afford to do that. But then you have Goose Island, who's a big player, and they bop the price up every year. It's like they can't afford not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
but for Saint Laurent, so let me play devil's advocate. I'm not saying you're wrong, but for Saint Laurent, the margins are worse, but they're potentially selling twice as much because it's half.
How about just do the right thing?
Yeah. No, I'm
look out
down.
for the
I
consumer,
love
right?
the 8-ounce cans. I think they're awesome.
Yeah.
I want more people to do it. I think it's great. And I was actually hoping the margins were better because I think it's a great way for, back in the days of bombers, like that was a really great way for small guys to make great margin. And I was hoping that the 8-ounce cans could kind of be a return to that where they could make up some of that margin while still giving customers a lower dollar amount. But anyway, you were talking about Goose Island and
I mean, remember when they changed the format from the 12-ounce bottles to their new
500 or whatever it is,
16.9, whatever it is. And I was on the show, and you were like, and I was saying that it's a money grab. And you were defending them slightly, but then after we did the math, we realized it was just obviously a money grab.
Well,
And you were afraid you were never going to get Bourbon County ever again.
No. I mean, I do think that sometimes if nobody is bringing up a counterpoint, sometimes I have to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Right.
For example, just then
Sure.
with the can size and the margins, but I don't. You said it was a money grab. That is the words. That is the term you used, and I tended to think that it was very much a financial decision to kind of essentially give people less for more. And I knew that I felt that in the first year it was going to be they're going to be very cost per ounce conscious, but it was just a gateway to slowly ratchet up the price, which I think is exactly what has happened. And I've been actually wrong about how they were going to set the price for a lot of other small breweries, and they absolutely have. They absolutely have made it okay to charge more. They were the first to do that I know of, and a lot of little guys now are following in their footsteps. There's a lot of people charging a lot of money for stouts now, sometimes that aren't even barrel aged.
Right.
I mean, that's like, that's what the memes from the beer influencers on Instagram, that's what, DDB talks about.
That's why we appreciate like Saint Laurent's and Revolution Brewings and Lake Effects that are still making them, affordable.
Uh-huh.
That's all you want. You just want to be able to afford a beer that's tasty and a little barrel on it, or just adjuncts, something.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I just don't think you need to keep charging crazy prices for beer. It's beer, right?
Right. Yeah.
Make it affordable. We'll drink the hell out of it.
It's hard for me to play the devil's advocate because I think you and I are very much have always been of a similar mind there. But, I mean, if people are willing to pay it, what about this? What if people
willing
are going to
forced? Because if it's all out there,
no, they're not forced, man. They're not forced. They're only
if
forced.
If you have a hobby and you want to keep being at the top of your game, that hobby, you're going to purchase whatever variants are out there, right? I mean, I think that's what Goose Island's doing with, instead of having their 6 variants, they're having, 37 variants? 37, whatever it is. It's because they know all those beer geeks can be like, I need to have at least one of all of those.
Right.
Right? And if you want one, if you can get 2, oh boy, I'm going to get 2.
Well, I think this thing with the barrels is going to allow them to keep the hype train running much longer. I think it's a brilliant move. I think it's great on many levels. One, I think it helps with their, jumping the shark, where they don't need to have 15 different adjuncts every single time just to make it something bigger and crazier. They can focus on the barrel, which is, and they can also educate people about how the different barrels affect the beer's flavor and stuff like that. But then they can also do variants of these double barrels, variants of these reserves. So how long until there's, vanilla double barrel or vanilla or coffee 2-year reserve? I mean, that's definitely going to happen. I would be very surprised. I mean, definitely, who knows? But I would be very surprised.
They do it so well. I mean, there's almost no one who does the adjuncts as well as they do on a barrel aged beer. I mean, so you don't really want to say it because they're the model,
the big guy,
the big guy. But boy, do they even the variants that I don't enjoy. Like, I'm not a huge fan of orange and chocolate and stouts,
but they nailed it.
But for a flavor that I don't really enjoy, I could drink that beer and go they did a really good job of it. For what it is.
I think that was my favorite last year.
Really? And I didn't. I mean, just because I'm not a huge
orange
fan of
one.
Yeah. Oh. But they really do a good job of
That was your favorite last year?
No, it wasn't my favorite. I just in fact, I really don't like the orange flavor in it. But that's not my. I don't like orange and chocolatey or stouty. But it's they did a really good job of doing it. For what it was. I don't think you could do it better than that.
Green Lady's got the bramble one on. She put it on for her anniversary last week. That is is delicious.
And a lot of people don't like berries, but I love those berries.
So good. Ryan, what was your favorite?
Of last year?
Yeah.
Not the orange. Definitely not. Definitely not the orange.
Did you do the coffee barley wine?
I'd like the coffee barley wine. I really like the reserve. Just like the straight barrel.
Yeah, reserve was great.
Reserve was awesome. But my thought with all these new variants,
I wasn't counting that one. I meant of the
adjuncted ones. If I had to choose, I guess vanilla. It was straight McCormick's, but it was good McCormick's. If that, it's an oxymoron. But no, with
sometimes
all
that Swiss Miss chocolate, smell. It tastes good when you're cold.
I say for all the things that I said good about all the variants, I don't think they do a good job with vanilla because I think it's way overdone, but that's just a personal opinion of mine. It's too intense. It's not balanced. But all their others, they could do banana and it's balanced, and no other banana beers I've had have really balanced.
Yeah, that's true.
And their vanilla, which seems to be so many other breweries can do it so well and balance it, they do it so over the top that to me it's way out of whack. So.
My thought with these variants is I think we're just going to continue to see, at least from Goose, more and more numbers each year. We started with vanilla, coffee, regular. Is that right? Then the year after that, they added the fruited one. Then
prop.
And then prop, and then the rare. And now we're at, 12 different variants?
Is that what it is? Yeah. It's a lot.
Is that how it is?
And I think it's just a construct of, it's...
Well,
it's no secret in beer, but artificial scarcity.
Yeah, but it also could be
there's 8.
You guys
count 8.
Yeah.
But maybe.
So,
variants,
this is probably a good question for you, Chris. You guys got a boatload of Bourbon County, right? And it kept on coming out, and it didn't. Maybe not at your store, but I know at other stores it wasn't always sold out. I could probably go find Bourbon County right now on the shelf. So.
But that's why I think they're doing the 8 different variants.
That may be the reason.
As they continue to increase their production of Bourbon County, the amount of beer sold isn't necessarily going to increase unless they increase the number of, different brands they have of it. If they have, if you remember when vanilla was the whale of all whales in beer, and now you could find vanilla on the shelf for 2 months after the fact after it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then say next year you could find it for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's look what's happening to KPS. It's going to be a year-round beer. That beer is going to be a shelf turd.
Yeah. Have you had
it already is a shelf turd.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but from a consumer perspective, but from a sales perspective, and that starts happening to your brands, your premium brands, and they're on the shelves year-round, and people don't buy them anymore. There's too many options out there. People want new and people want fresh.
Well, for founders, though, they're so far beyond, I think, KBS mattering to their bottom line.
Well, yeah.
They are an all-day IPA brewery at this point. That's a factory.
Well,
That's
I mean,
what
but
they
so
do.
is Goose Island. too.
Sure. That's true. I mean, do you man, I bet you they sell more BCS
Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
Have you had the new what's the KBS with
KBS?
coffee or whatever it is?
Espresso.
Espresso.
I don't think it's come out yet. That's like
Oh, it hasn't?
it's going to be the new drop for this fall or whatever.
KBS is great, though. I mean,
It's a
what
great
I was going to
beer,
ask
yeah.
you was, do you think that the quality of the product has gone down?
No, I don't think so.
KBS?
Actually, I
For
think
Goose?
for KBS,
For Founders.
I think actually last year was one.
I think
of
it's
the,
like upswing.
last year's one of the best batches of KBS I've had.
I think
Yeah.
it had a dip like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And it was like really. And I mean, to be honest, this could be just like a relative sense. Like maybe it was great and maybe it hadn't changed, but there was other beers that were in the same category. There are more beers in the same category as them that were great. But it seemed to me that it had a swell down and then it jumped up like back to
But
fuller and nicer.
But I think it's in terms of, I don't think the beer's gotten any worse. If anything, it's gotten better in the last few years. But I think its perception in the consumer's eyes has gone down because they can buy it whenever they want. I mean, last year I had it once. I thought it was a great beer, but I'm guilty of it in the fact that why would I buy a 4-pack of it when I had the one bottle? And if I want to go buy a bottle a month from now, I'll be able to. So,
Right. Man, even a 4-pack, just so you have it in your fridge.
no,
'Cause
I mean,
picked up a 4-pack.
I was at Whole Foods and they actually sold me a 12-ounce bottle of beer.
Illegally.
Yeah.
No one would do that. No retailers do that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, no. I mean, they sold him, so it's not allegedly. He was there.
I won't say which Whole Foods.
Yeah. But anyway,
You know that one.
he said allegedly. And I'm like, no, it's not. Trust me. Yeah, it's allegedly. Whatever.
What's your favorite bourbon barrel aged stout?
Of all time?
Yeah, which best one you ever had?
Probably Bourbon County.
Just regular? The one that just really sticks with you and you're like,
The one, but I mean, for me, it was probably, in 2009 or 2008 or 7 or something like
regular.
that. Yeah, it was so insane.
Yeah.
And it was definitely, I think it was partially where my palate was, but definitely going back and drinking some of those older ones, they were more intense. They were more boozy and harsh, and I kind of loved that about it in a way. They're much sweeter now. They're much more ready to drink immediately. I remember in like 07 or 08, like it was just a thing where you had to let that thing chill out for a year or so, and
That's great. I mean, you're not
yeah.
alone in that. Banks, what's your favorite?
Boy,
of all time, yeah.
I would have that first prop, and I like coconut. I mean,
2013.
that was just delicious, melded together, like good barrel, good coconut. Like, I mean, I don't know if they've had a whole lot better than that. I mean,
Maybe
I
I'm
had the
changing
Bramble.
mine. I don't know.
Now you
BA
change it.
Abraxas is also, for me,
Yeah.
No kidding.
first time I had that, again, I was, it was probably 2000,
Oh.
2013.
I may be lying because I misspoke because these guys went down to Hunapoo Day and got the double barrel Hunapoo the first time it
Yeah,
came
that
out.
was good.
I wasn't there, but I was the beneficiary
Yeah.
of them. Happened to be in line and bringing back a bunch of bottles. The double barrel Hunapoo.
That wasn't me. That was Mr. Padilla
Padilla.
of
Yeah.
now
And,
More.
he was the
Yeah.
head brewer at More now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
he-
probably the best that I've had. I mean, that was just
That was
huge.
really good.
and they did it again, and it was still good. It wasn't.
Didn't live up to
Didn't
the first
hold out,
batch.
yeah.
Yeah.
and then
I
we
had
had
the first batch. I think I had it side by side with Abraxas.
Now you're
I
just
might have even
bragging.
did No, I think I did a video on it.
Really? Of
course you
Somebody
did.
from Florida was in town and brought some, and we did it.
We did a blind between Abraxas and Hunapoo, and I think almost between Fitz, Ryan, me, and almost everyone chose the Hunapoo as better. being that had a little more pepper.
Yeah.
Abraxas, I remember, was a little more cinnamon forward. They're both delicious. I mean,
They also both change. The
Yeah,
cool
of
thing is they
course,
both.
yeah.
So it's like that year when I had
Right.
it was amazing.
Right.
But that's the other thing about these memories. Your memories of them are also changing. The beer itself is also changing. So BCS now doesn't taste like BCS then.
Yeah.
And BCS then doesn't taste the same because it's older now.
And that's interesting.
And your memory of it is
Right.
different too. So even if it
And your
did taste
palate's
exactly
different.
the same, your palate has changed. So it would taste different to you. Even if it literally was exactly the same and you tasted it 10 years later, you would think it tastes different. And it would because you'd perceive it differently.
That's honestly one of,
Which is like, blows your mind, but it's the truth.
Yeah, when
So-
we're brewing, we're not like, we do the same beer, but we like to tweak it a little bit. We're not pumping out Founders all day IPA where, if
Yeah.
you're in Boise, Idaho, or you're in, Athens, Georgia, you expect the same beer. Each batch is going to be a little different because we're going to try to tweak it and make it a little better. We're going to make it pretty close to the same beer, but it's going to be a little different just because we want to try to make it exactly what we want.
And
I don't think we're ever there.
Ryan, what's your favorite stout?
Yeah.
I was going to say double pear Hunapoo, but it's also a tie between that and it was one of the early 2010 batches of Bourbon County Coffee. I think it was like 12 or 13.
Oh, the first year or no?
Or maybe it was the first year.
The first year they did it.
It was
Big
just
bottle.
It was
Man.
it was in a big bottle. It wasn't the small bottles. It was a big bottle.
And it's not
It was
for me. It's
beautiful.
not the best ever. It's what are the ones that have reached that rarefied air for you? And the original, the first year of Bourbon County Coffee, blew my mind. I didn't get it originally because I was like, I don't want coffee in it. I just want the regular. And then I remember I was at Map Room and someone's like, oh, you haven't had it? And because it was all gone then because everyone realized it was amazing. And I was like, nah, I don't need it. I have plenty of regular. And he got a bottle and it was like Job in Arrested Development. I was like, I made a huge mistake. And we literally drank right then and there, us, the group of friends, every single bottle that the Map Room had. And then we just started calling, like texting or calling and be like, you got to come to the Map Room. And I think we probably drank 11 bottles just between all of us. We just kept drinking it and drinking it and drinking it and drinking it. I mean, there was probably like 10 of us or 12 of us or something like that. But just because more people
three
kept
of them.
coming.
There's three.
Yeah.
3, yeah.
Well, we drank for 12. We were
Yeah, you
drinking
did.
for 12.
It's the only beer I bought a case of after I had it the first time. Remember when beer menus is
Yeah.
beer menu still a thing?
Maybe.
I don't know. But I went on beer menus and I found it at some little janky corner liquor store on like the southwest side.
Yeah.
That was charging like maybe $1 more than what you should pay for
Right.
per bottle.
Those were the
It
days.
was like
Only $1.
only $1. I was like, oh, that's expensive.
actually not
It's
bad.
expensive. It was like $14 a bottle or something. Like,
It is.
yeah.
How about you, Fitz?
You know what? It has to be Bourbon County Bramble, the original. And I fell in
really?
love with it
This is
so
a lot of
fast.
I
there's
had
a
it
lot
with
of
you.
Bourbon
You and
County
I.
love being
Really?
thrown around here.
Remember, we had it at the Goose Island Wrigley. We went.
Oh yeah. It's just when I first tried it, it reminded me of when I first had Rare. I bought a house and my buddy came over as a
That was like your
Congratulations.
first craft beer ever, wasn't
my
it?
first stout, craft stout, right?
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was
crazy.
He shows up and he's like, "Hey, I got you this." I'm like,
Oh,
"What
downhill
is it?"
from here.
Champagne. He's like, "It's a rare beer. It's bourbon barrel aged." I'm like, I don't drink bourbon." He's like, "You'll like it, or just try it." It just blew my mind. I'm like, just so many levels, complexity. I was like, okay. And so when I tried Bramble, I went on and basically traded my cellar for as much as I could. And these guys will tell you, I probably gathered through trading 14, 15 bottles of it. And then I slowly would just open them up throughout the year and do
You
whatever
think it's
I
still
needed
any
to do.
good?
Bramble? Yeah. Melanie and I just opened one up this past Christmas, my last bottle.
I may have one for you. If I do, I'll give it to you.
Well, let's crack it with a bunch of
Yeah.
people and have them.
I'll
That'd
see.
be awesome.
Yeah.
And it was tasting fantastic.
Somebody is some overbearing person wants me to mention that you're listening to WLPNLP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpin' Radio. This is the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. You know what? It's time for a musical break. Unless there's something you wanted to say. Fitz?
Second choice would have been Apple Brandy Hunapoo.
Ooh.
But then for the people in the future, so they should know that Ryan sitting next to me, he made for, was it Boo-Ha-Ha? A homebrew event?
Oh yeah, the One Kim event.
He
3
did
years
his
ago.
version of like a Hunapoo barrel aged, and it was up there with my top 3. It was absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, I backed up into the spigot, and it started pouring on the ground. We didn't realize that a quarter of the keg had poured out before.
It was actually in here. It was actually here.
In CoPro.
Oh, was it?
Studio A.
Yeah, it was right over there. Like, it was actually.
I didn't
But
notice it.
before
at the
we
time.
go, I mean, Ryan mentioned it, but so we've got 4 people here. We're all based out of Chicago, but there's been a total of, not including variants, 3 beers mentioned, right? There's been Huna, BCS, and then I was the outlier with Abraxas.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Wow.
So many options.
Wait, how's Abraxas the outlier from Huna?
Well, no, because I was the only one who said it.
Oh, okay.
Nah.
Yeah, that's
We
yeah,
jumped in.
yeah.
Musical break. What are we playing?
Yeah. I guess we'll see. My guess is it's going to be Vietnamese disco was my guess. That's kind of what Mr. Bay enjoys, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's the beauty of it. We'll listen for a few minutes, and we'll come back after that with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Es algo grave. Hablaba en serio. Lo que te ha dicho hoy. Lo he visto y es verdad.
Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn. I'm joined by Brent Banks and Ryan Jacobs of Saint Errant and Fitz, who likes beer, mainly from the East Coast. Or from
Chicago.
or from Goose Island.
All
Your
right.
other favorite.
All
He
right.
recently moved. He's our neighbor now, too.
Oh yeah, you moved.
I'm up in the hood.
Where you?
I'll let you know.
Yeah, tell me on
I'll
the
let you
air.
know.
Near Rezzies. How about that?
Oh, nice. Very cool. So, you were talking to me, Banks, but you said you wanted to hold something for the air, or you just want to move on?
Remind me what I was
Nah,
asking.
forget it.
No. I want to ask you.
The equilibrium thing.
Oh, yeah.
Splash drops.
Yeah, what is your thought on splash drops? I know, like...
Can you just go into a little bit for
Sure,
people
sure.
about what a
It's like,
splash drop is?
It's breweries who are normally pretty hyped up. So, like Equilibrium or whomever. Let's use them because they're have come here a lot. And they normally don't distribute beers in Chicago. And then all of a sudden they put a couple hundred cases here in the city to certain beer shops as a kind of splash. And they make great beer. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, because what I see is that it can only go to a couple stores, or not a whole lot of stores. So it's like, is it good? Is it bad? Do you kind of go oh man, I wish they didn't do that, or I wish we could get them in our store? I mean, you guys are pretty, on the tip of craft beer, so I don't think that if you asked for it, you'd be able to get it. Is it something good or bad, or?
I'd be surprised about that, honestly. Stuff seems to just go to some places for some reasons.
Do you think it's just relationships?
It
people who know?
disrupts the normal ecosystem temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
So I would guess that for a lot of breweries who sell beer of whatever type is getting splashed
Does
into
it
the
screw
market.
us?
Yeah, it probably does. We would buy less of your beer because we're getting a splash of, we don't get Equilibrium. But if we did, we would. So it would probably throw off your numbers, or your expected numbers a little bit. And I know that's happened in the past where it's kind of just thrown a wrench into some of the local breweries a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's something like Will at Spiteful, Will Moore, is kind of anti-splash drop because he doesn't know. He's a very opinionated person.
What?
Yeah, right. And he's like, he doesn't think it's, right. He doesn't think, not just here, but like he doesn't think like if Spiteful were to do that, he just doesn't think Spiteful should do that. And because he doesn't like the concept of it, it disrupts things and stuff like that.
Disrespectful?
I don't know if respect's a thing.
Or like
I mean,
a
it's
turf war
disruptive,
type of thing?
but at the same time, if we're going to, if a retailer is going to be that careful to disrupt the flow of stuff from suppliers, I think we're beyond that because I think it's much more. It's so crazy here in Chicago now. Anyway, I mean, we just had Pat Berger, another very opinionated person, on last week. And, Pat says some stuff that I agree with and some stuff that I don't agree with. But one thing is the equilibrium and the stasis of the three-tier system here in Chicago is very much out of whack. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff that would kind of get splashed here or that breweries would kind of splash elsewhere is often just sold right out their front door anyway. So it's not even going to us as it used to. A lot of these hyped beers, they'll go right out the front door. So we don't see them anyway. So this is like our chance to kind of get that crowd back into our shop nowadays. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. If I was always now, if there was a guy across the street from me who always got these splash drops, and all my regulars always went over there, and I never got them, it never was a kind of a tit for tat, then I'd be upset, but I'd also have to kind of figure out why that's the case. I heard during the break, I'm not going to blow up anyone's spot, but Melanie at the Green Lady is going to be doing a pre-Fobab event with,
we'll see.
Yeah, is going to be doing a pre-Fobab event, with a brewery that I probably won't see any beer from. But I'll probably be doing my own pre-Fobab events, maybe with local breweries, but maybe with some out-of-market breweries. So, it'll still be okay.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone who normally would go to the Green Lady is going to run over to the beer temple, hopefully. But
isn't that why you make relationships and you travel and you go to breweries and if they reach out to you and say, "Hey, we'd love to do this," how do you? Right?
Totally. Yeah, I don't know if that's that's not why I necessarily do it, but I think it's just like
it's an added
it's
bonus.
just how stuff.
Hey, by the
it's
way,
just how stuff happens. Yeah.
It's kind of. I mean, I would say, from the other side is on the brewery side. I kind of feel somewhat the same. Like, it doesn't bother me that Equilibrium comes here and drops a bunch of beers. That's fine. Like, they want to do that. They're free to do that. And if it hurts our distribution for a very, very short time, that's fine. But, we hope that we brew beers that people want more than them. And, if that works out, it's great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
yeah.
I don't think it's not that big a deal, honestly, from the brewery side of things.
Yeah. There are some breweries who definitely have made that part of their model, at least in the past. I know Half Acre has definitely done some splashes in the past. I don't know if they still are, but out to the West Coast, I believe, and I believe elsewhere. So, it is something that maybe gets your kind of, your hype going, or gets you, maybe it's a way to see if how that market's going to react to your beer.
It's a little probe.
A little probe, stuff like
Nice,
that.
great
It has
idea.
to be what that is.
Why do you like it, Fitz?
Because you don't have to travel across the country to go and get it. Can you imagine if Hill Farm or Alchemist or Treehouse decided to do some drops here? Oh, my goodness.
Right. Yeah, but you use these words like have to. Like, I have to spend all this money for this beer. I have to travel across the country to get them. You don't have to ever do any of it.
If I want it, I have to travel across the country to get it.
Right. Correct.
That's why I used have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for them to be kind to do a drop here, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely nice that way. And it's novel. You know, you get to try something that's just going to be here for a little bit. It gives you that kind of sense of like urgency, which is like fun. Like, I have to go to this bar on this night because this beer will only be here then.
Right.
Which was, you know, I think was so fun about craft beer.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
It still is when you put on a Bourbon County Bramble.
Right,
Yeah.
or a St.
Right.
Laurent one keg hazelnut variant
yeah.
of something. You're like, oh, I want to go try it.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, if you do
I mean,
one
you
of a
still-
kind,
yeah.
sure, you want to go knock it out.
What's up, Banks?
It's just scarcity, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned it
Artificial
before.
scarcity.
It's like artificially.
Artificial scarcity. Yeah, which is what it is.
Or maybe not
honestly.
artificial, just scarcity.
real
some
scarcity.
of it. I mean, for us, it's not artificial, but
I think
for
it's-
for bigger guys, I think there's definitely some artificial scarcity to it. If they wanted to brew like what Founders is doing,
No, but I think even for you guys, it is artificial gives it such a negative connotation.
that's true. We could brew one IPA
Yes.
and do nothing but that IPA.
Yes.
At the same time, we personally don't want to do that because we want to continue to experiment, but it's also what the customer wants too.
Right. You want to have your beer kind of burn through each week and, you know, have a kind of a smaller footprint that kind of churns through, you know, the beer. And right now, the market is very much into what's new. What's new?
That's,
What's
I
new?
think that's why
What's
Founders
new?
is doing that, right? I mean, KBS is KBS. Then they're saying we're doing a coffee. Is that what it was? A coffee
Espresso.
espresso. Like they want to stay cool. Hey, look, we're doing something different. Also, isn't that remember Dragon's Milk back in the day, a few years back? They started doing variants because they're like, this is kind of boring. We should pump some life back into our brand.
Or maybe it's that, like I said before, they saw what people like Goose Island and everybody else was doing, and they're like,
Yeah.
you know what, maybe we should
Get a piece.
get a piece, or kind of like this is where the market is nowadays.
Does the
But
does the market?
I think Goose Island's doing that for a reason too, though. Like we talked about earlier, if they're obviously brewing in a lot of Bourbon County, and we've seen how long regular Bourbon County sits now.
Yeah, so why not put it in
So
rare,
they're
barrels?
continuing to make it. If
Yeah.
they made nothing but regular Bourbon County, they'd have more than what they're already sitting on.
If they were smart, they would lessen the amount of Bourbon County and put more into rare barrels
Well,
or
here-
variants.
Wow,
Maybe
I
that's what
can't.
they're doing.
I got to tell you off the air what my crazy idea is for what they should do. Because I think you could. I think the game where it's going to go is
Sell prepackaged Randalls with all their kegs.
yeah, right. No, but it's definitely going
The
in the way
answer.
of more and more and more rare, more unique, more rare, and
More
just
price. Yeah.
because there's that game has not been fully played yet. The rare thing can get more rare, and especially for a big company who has access to certain stuff, they can just make it as rare as it possibly can be, even so much as it to almost be like a novelty showpiece. How rare can this possibly be, and legitimately be very rare?
Yeah.
I think those doors
Kind of like
still are going to be open.
kind of like the Pappy Van Winkle.
That's coming out of my mouth. Thinking Pappy
Yeah.
would be the
I'm not
next
saying Pappy
wave.
Barrel, but just like the Pappy Van Winkle model
not?
Yeah.
of stepwise rarity and scarcity.
Yep, and just have it be
Yeah.
bananas. You guys want to read some letters that
Yeah.
haven't been
Yeah.
lost? Okay. So,
There I was in the pizza place.
There I
She
was.
walked in.
I have a bunch. Do you want to hear the seltzer letter or the non-seltzer letter?
We got to
What's
go
wrong with
seltzer.
seltzer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Letter,
sir.
come on, let's do it.
LaCroix.
See, but you never know. I mean, 2 weeks ago they were like, no seltzer talk. You know, so
Bring it.
It's
All right.
huge.
I mean, that's what
Let's
you're
talk
drinking
about
right
it.
now.
seltzer
doing a
is
little-
real. Are we talking
It's
hard?
the
Passion fruit
future.
LaCroix.
It's the
Yeah.
future.
Are we talking
huh?
hard seltzer?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Bring it.
I mean, the present is
Logan's
is-
happy.
Yeah. Okay. This is from. Okay, I'll just read it. Hello, Chris and Insiders. Oh, wait, before I get into it, if you want to send in a letter, you can send it to insiders@craftbeertemple.com or to the Beer Temple at 3173 North Elston Avenue. That's in Chicago, Illinois, 60618. So this was an electronic letter, and it starts out like this.
Electronic.
Yep.
Okay,
Hello,
Grandpa.
Chris and Insiders. Over the last few episodes, there has been talk of the potential for craft hard seltzers. Fitting with the show's running joke of Portland, Oregon being the future of craft, there's a local cider maker that I think ticks many of the boxes that you have discussed regarding a craft producer coming to the market with hard seltzer. Two Towns in Corvallis, Oregon, has spun off a seltzer brand that is available both on draft and packaged, and their website, which is seekoutseltzer.com. Hits on points such as its alcohol being derived from fruit, natural essences from fruit, and authenticity. The flavors on offer are also a step beyond the more commonly seen lemon, lime, grapefruit, etc. I have nothing to do. I'll have to do some looking into the price point versus White Claw and Truly's of the world, but it seems like just the attempt at premiumization that the group was talking about. Not really a question here, but I thought you might be interested in this development from out in Oregon. Best, Nathan. P.S. I'd proudly wear a Dust and Dust and Dust and Dust shirt if you think this tidbit is worthy. So, thank you, Nathan. We'll shoot you a Dust and Dust and Dust shirt. If you can let me know what size you wear, that would be helpful. So, thank you for the letter. And
electronic.
So what he's referring to, I know you guys listen to every episode, but let's just assume you haven't. Let's pretend you haven't for a moment. We were asking is there potential to premiumize hard seltzer? So can the craft guys, because I was asking, why are these craft guys getting into seltzer? I don't see it being able to be premiumized. And Nathan is saying that somebody, a cider maker out in Oregon, seems to be trying to. I've actually had the Seek Outs. I mean, do you think... you wanted to talk about seltzer, Fitz?
I never drank seltzer up until like a month ago. I never drank it up until like a month ago.
Hard or regular?
Just regular. I'm just a water guy. And then I've been getting into LaCroix and whatever else is out there. And the hard seltzer I haven't really gotten into. Have you guys? What's the...
I mean, who knows? I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, I'm not going to turn my nose up at someplace trying to premiumize it. I mean, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but I'm not going to be upset about it. Or I mean, it seems like
it's not so about getting upset about it.
But
it's
there
not like
seems
saying,
so
don't
much
try.
like pushback, at least from our...
Do you think people see it like the not your father's root beer type of thing?
Almost not,
right?
Maybe not that bad.
Not yet.
Maybe
like
on
what's
the
coming now?
Zima side. I don't know.
Zima.
It's I mean, good for them for trying. Like maybe it'll work out. I don't know.
I don't think you're going to see any people, maybe really big companies building a brand like the White Claws around a hard seltzer. But in terms of craft brands doing it, I would be surprised to see new people popping up to do it. I think the model is going to be maybe breweries that over-projected their growth in terms of when they were building out a brewery 5, 6, 7 years ago that
have excess capacity.
And rather than getting smaller or bringing in someone like us to contract brew, filling those tanks with a different type of product to fulfill a different market. And I think we're already starting to see some different breweries doing that. And it's not just in the hard seltzer market, but it's even in like the craft cocktail market. I was doing a drop at Benny's last week and was kind of perusing the shelves and was noticing some local people, I won't say who, but doing craft cocktails in cans. And I can only guess as to why.
So you think that it's have to, not wants to?
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean...
Well, if you're so busy doing something successfully, you wouldn't have time to do.
Well, it's all margins, right?
But there is also the fact that you can turn over a hard seltzer in about 5 days. Like it doesn't take a lot you throw some champagne yeast and some sugar in there, and you got alcohol pretty quickly. You don't have to clean up a 8% beer with grain, and that's using a finicky yeast. It's going to turn over fast.
You put some extract in there and.
Some adjuncts, right? Yeah.
Not even adjuncts. You just put extract in it. You just put
grapefruit
flavor.
I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Let me check. It's fruit essence. Fruit essence, not extract.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
But I mean, I guess we're probably minimalizing because I don't know. I haven't brewed it, but there could be other ways to make it better, right? Like We could have all thought that, 25 years ago that this was, the easiest craft beer, breweries. Are just, there could be different things to make a seltzer
Oh, absolutely.
a really
Yeah.
good seltzer as opposed to something that's, sugar water that's fermented with an essence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not really exploring it, but there could be something that makes a good craft seltzer, I think. I don't know. Or I should say, I don't know if there is or there isn't, but I'm not going to discount that the fact that there is the potential to make something
Heck
good
yeah.
with that versus something that's always kind of crappy.
Good for him. Somebody else wants to get out there and try and do something different. Why not?
I don't particularly want to do it, but maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to
Yeah, I
crap
don't-
on someone and
I
say
don't think
that
it's about crapping on them. I just thinking is it? Do you think it's? Yeah, I think that's a great idea that they're doing that, or do you think? I don't know. I tend to think that the seltzer drinkers, the hard seltzer drinkers I've seen, and you know what? Let's even go with seltzer. So seltzer is booming right now. It's huge.
Right.
Hard seltzer is also. There has been premium hard seltzer around for a long, long, long time. This LaCroix stuff used to be called club soda, and all the other stuff was called, Perrier and San Pellegrino and Gerolsteiner and all those other ones, and you could get some of those with flavors, But do you see are those blowing up? Are everyone drinking these like European mineral waters and stuff like that are sparkling? I don't really see the premiumization going bananas that much with that, and I don't see it happening with hard seltzer either. I'm not saying there aren't going to be attempts, and that there might even be some successes with it, but I think they're going to be on a small scale. I think, I feel a similar way to the like the diet beer, like Mick Ultra and stuff like that. I don't think that's really going to be over premiumized that much. Like they even Mick Ultra tried to do it with Gold, right? Wasn't that, or Pure or something like that, where it was like all an organic version of Mick Ultra. I mean, I haven't really heard anything about that since it was launched at a Super Bowl commercial a couple of years ago. So, I mean, they've even tried to premiumize that, but
it may be super premiumizing, right? Like, I mean,
right,
like you could be talking the difference between, Natural Light and Bud Light, right?
Sure.
So you could consider maybe all those Busch Light or Natural Light, and maybe what some of these brewers are trying to do.
And the other thing is, it just for right now, and I totally agree with you, Banks. This could change. There's no it's not an experiential thing at all right now. It's just a alcohol delivery system when you're drinking White Claws.
People want
I don't disagree.
People want beverages that don't taste like booze.
Yeah,
That's really what it's come down to, and it doesn't
It's a
matter.
vodka soda.
Doesn't matter if it's
exactly.
cocktails.
Booze
Vodka
in that?
soda.
That's delicious.
It's cocktails or seltzer, even beer these days.
It's
People
a
want
vodka soda.
want booze that doesn't taste
It's.
like booze.
I mean, I like to think of it as like you sent us a little information about you wanted to talk about this before, and I thought about it. I was like, this is kind of like all the different flavors of vodka that have come out, right?
Right.
It's the cotton candy vodka. It's the birthday cake vodka. It's like that's generally because vodka doesn't have a whole lot of taste outside of whatever is put in it.
Don't hate on my birthday cake vodka.
But I mean, really, if you think about it, right? I mean, why are all those out there? It's kind of catering to the same clientele as the
premium vodka has definitely become a thing. Like that is definitely, but birthday cake vodka has not become premiumized.
Now it will.
Is there not a premium?
Nobody knew it existed till
Right.
today.
Wait, I was just delivering beer at the beer temple. I saw like a shelf of different birthday cake vodkas.
That was supposed to be a secret. I
Blame
was
that on
supposed to
Max.
announce that
We saw the line.
tomorrow. Yeah, we're now the birthday cake vodka temple.
So
You'd be surprised how many people make birthday.
Well, they bought the rights.
We were talking about, BTI. We've had Gerald on from the show, the Beverage Testing Institute. So they have to do flavored comparisons. Like, there'll be a whole day where they're doing nothing but, like, birthday cake vodkas. Like, I get to go there for the beers and stuff like that, and they have wines and scotches and cognacs. But
they should
sometimes-
make you go for the bad days too, just to like earn your stripes.
The-
Like,
the
you
beauty
have,
of
you
it
have
is-
to come to Cotton Candy Vodka Day.
the beauty of it is I'm not equipped. I am not professional enough to know. I can't discern.
It shouldn't matter. You should have to go drink them.
But can you imagine, like, all day? It's like, okay, the next is going to be we got a flight of birthday cake vodkas, followed by like watermelon vodka, and oh my goodness. But anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Thank you, Nathan, for that letter. Is there anything else you guys had to say about premiumizing seltzer? I mean, I've had the Seek Out ones. They are a little bit more adventurous in their flavors. But here's the thing: when we were tasting them all side by side times 46, when we tried a whole bunch of them, nobody there picked it as our favorites, and even in that context, we didn't really want it to be maybe better, because if we wanted like a real fruit juice, like we would just have grapefruit juice with some vodka poured into it. It's just going to taste better.
Do you
I
think
don't
it
know.
just may be like their volume may not be enough of it to be like, hey, this is a little something unique. We're not White Claw. We're not Truly or whatever the ones are. Like, hey, we're not like looking to be at that level. But hey, if we can sell
a little bit,
yeah. If you guys move,
That's where I see these craft producers
1/50th
coming
of the
in.
cases that
The craft breweries with
like
tanks.
not you guys, but whomever, like, hey, this is the upscale, and then someone comes in and goes, this is cool. Like, I like this. I'll pay $5 extra for a case of this, whatever. Maybe they're not looking to be.
I mean,
like,
maybe it's for someone who like wants to show that they care a little more, but they're also someone who drinks a style that is really devoid of anything.
Right. Like,
they're so different. Like, I
mean-
want to drink nothing, but I want to drink good nothing, or I want people to show that people that I have a discerning
understand, but,
palate.
like, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, I get you. I mean,
yeah.
I'm being obviously a little harsh, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. So, you guys want to hear? You want to read
Yeah.
another letter? Okay. So,
Dear Penthouse.
Dear Penthouse. So, one thing I'll say about this next letter, I guarantee it's true. This really happened. Okay, Dear
That's how they all
Penthouse.
start. Dear Penthouse.
that's how they all start.
All the ones you wrote.
This was wait.
Yeah. Okay, this is not a seltzer one. Sorry, Fitz. So, hi, Chris, longtime listener, first-time writer. So I'm writing to you and fellow insiders about wages in the industry. Let's be honest. Wages mostly suck in the craft industry to the point where I feel it hurts the talent pool, has a slight hindrance on growth in the industry, and most importantly, is not fair to the workers. Relevant backstory. I live locally in the Chicagoland area, and I was formerly an assistant brewer for a local brewery. But after making Chicago's minimum wage for some time, I decided to go back to what I went to school for and take a financial position at a different brewery for obvious salary reasons. Recently, leaving the industry altogether, I don't look back. However, I did think about all my fellow alumni at Siebel, some that were going there in order to get a promotion to brewer, a position where the salary still sucks. Is the cost of brewing school even worth it for any industry job or promotion? So I think I kind of bobbled that sentence again. Let me just say it. I did think about all my friends at Siebel, some that were going there in order to get a promotion to a brewery, a position where the salary still sucks. Is the cost of brewing school even worth it for any industry job or promotion? I have a lot to say about this topic that I feel is rarely talked about, but I don't want to go too deep since I'm writing you and don't want it to be too long. But basically, what do you and the panel think is fair wages in industry. Keep in mind that work-life balance is non-existent. Other salaries for similar jobs, salaries. So keep in mind other salaries for similar jobs, and it actually takes education or experience to obtain an industry job these days. And Illinois minimum wage is going up to $15 in 2025. Finally, I just want to say I'm not bitter for my experience in the industry. I still try to stay in the industry with individual projects, and they make me happy and are worth my time, education, and experience I've received. Thanks.
Yours truly, John Hall.
Johnny Baklava.
Oh, it's John Hall.
Johnny Baklava. Maybe it is John Hall.
Yep.
So thank you, Mr. Baklava. I appreciate that very much. I should say, I used to say it in the past, when you are writing a letter, sign it the way you want me to refer to you. So, because there are industry people who sometimes don't want their true identity revealed. Like all those times you've emailed me, Fitz. Yeah.
One.
Well, that was me.
Oh.
Yeah, just sign it. Jeremy Fitz.
So I don't know. I mean, for you two, I mean, had you ever considered working in the industry before you struck out on your own?
No.
And was salary and pay a reason for that?
No.
No. Okay.
So, but it's tough. I mean, we haven't hired anyone, and it's just us. But I mean, I understand what he's saying. It's like we know people in the industry who are, making low wages.
Left probably higher paying jobs.
I don't think we can really comment on kind of
Yeah.
what he touched upon in terms of cost of Siebel, which is a real thing. It's necessity now to get a head brewer job. I think is going to depend on where you're trying to get a head brewing job. An outfit like us, or a microphone, or kind of that scale of where we're at. I don't think that's going to play too much of a factor, and we are now, like, the minority has become the majority in terms of amount of
more
breweries
small
out there.
breweries.
So there's more small breweries than big breweries out
Right.
there, and the more small breweries, the guys that are popping up aren't Siebel trained brewers. They're home brewers that decided that they want to take their kitchen brewery to a big brewery, and then ends up working out. So I can't really comment on that. I understand what he's saying.
Comment on what specifically?
I can't comment on
Not paid well.
on whether or not they're paid well. I don't even know what the cost of brewing school is. That's how naive I am to this question.
I guess my big wonder with this video is, like, should you go to a brewing school and pay for that, or should you go work for a brewery?
Yeah,
and
you could
make less money, or make very little money,
or
for
volunteer for free. Look what
yeah.
Kyle.
Some
at
big
Microphone
breweries
did for
send
2
their
years.
their brewers to Siebel, though.
Some big breweries do, but I would say
Why is that?
I'm thinking
They think it's worth it, apparently.
If we were
Fitz, come on.
devoid of brewing and I wanted to hire someone, would I want to hire someone who spent a lot of money at Siebel, let's say, and who I know knows a lot about the technical, or would I want to hire someone who spent 2 years brewing with Scotty at Pipeworks?
Mm-hmm.
I would choose the latter.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of brewers would, and that it may not have been the right choice, but I'm like, is Siebel the right way to go?
But
I guess that's a big question.
And there's probably different scenarios.
I think it has to do with where the direction of the small craft brewery is going, though, and also what type of setting do you want to work at? Do you want to work at a Lagunitas or a Sierra Nevada? Then sure, a Siebel background is going to be beneficial for you.
And you're almost required to do it. Like you said, if a brewery is going to send your head brewer to Siebel, that's too late in the game, kid. It's like you should have you're either not doing something right, or you're not, making beers that are making the public get in line. I mean, I don't understand why you would send a head brewer to Siebel.
I would say a head brewer, but they send people to brewers to Siebel.
Learn on the job.
Do you know if they're doing the full course or they're doing specific things, or? I
know. I think it's both.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think some smaller breweries are sending people to like little courses, and then there's some other ones that are sending people to bigger courses. And I think there's a lot of other people who are going to try to, go and then hand out their resumes because they haven't gotten a job doing stuff. And you know what? There'll probably be a time where there's some of these breweries who, you spent time brewing with Scott at Pipeworks for a while. Well, maybe that position needs a Siebel certificate to get there to then pass it on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Pipeworks now is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
I would guess 80% of the head brewers in the country are not Siebel trained. I think a very, very small percentage
I
are
would
Siebel
put
trained.
it above that percent. I would think it's probably 90% or
Are trained?
Are not.
Are not
Oh,
trained.
yeah. So I don't see, Siebel, good for him, but I don't see a reason to go to Siebel anymore. You don't need this. I mean, as long as you start practicing at home, you do a great job. You can get on the job training, or if you're able to, brew with other people. I mean,
I think I'm very
not a-
ignorant to that, but I think that's
To play devil's advocate, I think there's a lot of
there's a
stuff
lot of
that
stuff that goes
there's
on
a
in
lot of
those
stuff
things.
that as you scale up from brewing on, say, a 3-barrel system or a 10-barrel system, that changes when you go to a 50-barrel system or a 200-barrel system. It's in terms of what you're doing from cleaning your tanks to transferring your beer. Stuff that may not come into play as much on a small scale is only going to, get larger exponentially on a bigger scale. And I think maybe that's where Siebel comes into play a little bit more.
And also to play devil's advocate, there's been a lot of times where brewers have expanded, gotten a new system, and then brought in a brewer with more experience. And the way I've put it is, all right, we have to starting doing some industry practices now. This this person has come from a larger brewery where they've, got everything down, and they're going to come and start passing along this knowledge. So that to me is kind of equates to some formal education as well.
I
I
see
think
that
that's-
being the more common thing. And it's actually, I think microphone's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Kind of as he's scaled up, he's made a lot of smart decisions, but one of the decisions that I was most privy to was bringing in Handsome Mike or Sexy Mike, whatever you want to call him, but who used to brew at Five Rabbits, which is a very large brewery. And we were very beneficial of that hire when we were brewing there, in the fact that his knowledge of process was so much greater than anyone that we've come across. And the knowledge that we gained from him was invaluable. And I think he also obviously imparted that knowledge onto Mike, who had really only brewed on a smaller scale too. But I don't believe Handsome Mike is Siebel trained, is he?
I think, yeah. We should probably say, I crapping on Siebel because none of us know exactly what.
I agree. I don't know what the
so we don't
curriculum
really
is.
know
Yeah.
exactly what the Siebel. So maybe just we're talking about industry experience.
But I will say that Handsome Mike
maybe
Handsome Mike learned under a Siebel trained brewer. He learned under John Hall.
It's like
John J. Hall.
John J. Hall.
John J. Hall. Yeah.
Trained under John J. Hall.
So you're not saying that Siebel is actually the beneficiary, but it should be brewing at another brewery that has
A larger scale brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Siebel's going to close next month. They're going to blame us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
just Chris.
Blame you.
They'll forget us. It'll just be Chris.
Yeah. But what about? Do you think that the brewing industry currently is offering kind of living wages to people at the entry level, at least, or before? Even like entry level brewing positions. Not like, I'm not talking about working on the packaging line or something like that.
Just my firsthand knowledge of brewers that I've gotten to know. At the breweries, they seem really happy with what they're being paid. They're getting medical, dental, vision, and they're making a good salary to where they can raise a family. Just the local ones. And the big boys, I don't know what they're doing, how they're doing it.
Okay. I
Like specifically Microphone, Spiteful. Those are the only ones I have an idea of what they're doing and how they're doing it, and people seem really happy there.
Cool.
Saint Laurent's underpaid.
I've got to be
Vastly underpaid.
I've got to be careful what I say. I know there are some people who've left jobs they've loved at smaller breweries to go to bigger breweries for benefits and pay
Yeah.
Yeah,
here locally.
Yep.
but that's fine. I mean, that's
Right.
understandable. Like, right?
Right.
It's like,
Right. No,
yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
it's like that's the nature of it. Like,
yeah.
I would
Well-
say that most smaller, at least most smaller breweries that I know are probably the most progressive people that I know, right?
Mhm.
Like, if they could give the benefits that they,
Sure,
want to, they
sure.
would. This isn't a greedy cash grab to you, like, ha 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 ha, like, I could pay them minimum wage and drive my BMW. Like, I don't think that's where this industry is right now.
Right.
So,
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm really just not privy to that information. And what I hear is so hearsay and probably can't be trusted because it's from people who are very emotionally involved one way or another, and I don't have the actual facts. So I don't know. I know there have been Jeff Allworth had an amazing article on his Beervana blog about industry pay and stuff like that, and it does seem like and we've gotten emails and stuff about work conditions, long hours. What about the stuff about Trillium that came out? Remember?
Yeah.
And how brutal the working conditions were there, and how they purposefully underpaid people because of they felt you were getting the name Trillium on a resume and that you can go anywhere else, which is probably true. I mean, if somebody came into a brewery who makes those type of beers here in Chicago and said, I brewed at Trillium and here's my resume, that probably would get him a job at a lot of places. Somebody's waving.
Oh, we got
hey.
fans out there.
It is.
Hi.
So, yeah, I think there's probably some issues with pay, but
I mean, I guess.
and also with industries where people are like really excited to get into it and they have this passion for it, it lends itself to for people to be able to be willing, I guess, to work for less.
And there's very low barriers to entry,
yeah.
right?
I mean, when we were first in the craft game, I mean, how many people, we don't have to name names, how many people do we know who got their job because they would donate their time for free, and which is not entirely legal to do from the business standpoint, but there are people that we know who have worked their way up the ranks, and that's how they started.
Yeah.
So, it's just, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying when there's passion, if someone's willing to work for free, they're probably also willing to work for a little bit less than, a similar manufacturing job in a different sector would pay.
I just,
Right.
off the top of my head, just counted like 16 people that would fall into that
Right.
volunteered at first, and then, yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of people. So, anyway, hey, wow, my ears must have been burning because we've got
we just
got
talked about
royalty.
you.
We've got royalty, milady, milord. We've got milord.
No, you're right. Malort was correct.
Yeah. Well, it's what. Is there anything else we want to say about Mr. Baklava's letter?
Thank you for sending. Send more.
Send more. Yeah, you can send more to the Beer Temple Insiders Round Table. So let's do one more thing before we get to the final part. And I'm glad you guys are here for that. But did you hear that there's a hard coffee coming out now? La Colombe.
Yeah,
Not
Philly.
surprised.
Yeah?
but that's
that's awesome.
Yeah? Well, tell me.
coffee.
Talk to me about it, Banks.
I think it's awesome. I think there's far too much gatekeeping in all the craft breweries, ciders, whatever. Like if they want to make craft or hard coffee, God bless them. Like if people buy it, like the only thing that upsets me is when they're trying to destroy small breweries. Like this is innovative, this is new, this is different. God bless them. Like
more power to
it
them.
happens to be that it's a big brewery and a big coffee maker. That's fine. I don't care. Like that's cool. They're trying to do something cool and innovative.
Good on them.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, there's other aspects of that conglomerate that is awful, but this in and of itself, if I want to
Sure.
compartmentalize it, it's cool.
I think we can move on from there. Because I want to give some time to talk about somebody that the Chicago craft beer scene lost recently, sadly, and that's Anthony Norkus, who has been part of the scene for a long, long time. And it's very fitting. No? You guys, would you? No, you don't want to? I personally, have known Anthony for a while. We weren't the closest, but I do know that he touched so many people around the industry. In fact, the very first person I ever spoke to who was in the craft beer industry when I was first thinking about starting a store was Anthony. He was the first person who met with me and Margaret just to talk about what it was going to be like. And he worked for a distributor, Glenn's here. And, we were still a year away from even opening up just a little bottle shop, which is so, piddly in hindsight. But he took an hour-long, lunch meeting with us and just talked to us about it, which was super cool. And it says a lot about the type of person he is. And it's a real shame. But we have two people in the room who've worked much more closely. Would either you, Will, or Melanie want to talk at all about Anthony before we go?
Well, I think, you did. He was just the best guy. Like the guy that everyone wanted to go have a beer with, just such a kind-hearted, sensitive, and, just great human being that absolutely loved beer. And, he's definitely going to be sorely missed.
I have a very similar story to yours. When I first started figuring out what I was going to be ordering, a week after we figured most of it out, he also sat down with me and kind of gave me a run through of everything in Chicago and Glenn's and Be United here in Chicago. And it was really, Will, Jimena, and I just came back from the service out in New Lenox, and it was standing room only. And that was pretty awesome to see.
It says a lot.
And I was talking with Emily from Temperance, and she was saying how he was always the guy with her at all of the Glenn's things, the weddings and the funerals, and she found herself all day today making room for him. And I think that he did that for all of us. Like he definitely taught a lot of people and made room for people to succeed, and in ways that, was very welcoming, and he was definitely an old school guy.
Yeah, and not didn't stand in the spotlight. Wasn't a glamorous guy.
He didn't need the accolades
he
for
was
doing
in the second
it.
tier. Yeah.
Yeah, and his son stood up and told a story of him in music, and it was a
Chip off the old block.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So my condolences to the Norkus family and his entire family, and it is one big family out here in a lot of ways. So you will be missed, Anthony. We will be back next week with more of the Insiders Roundtable. I want to thank all my guests, which now is Fitz, who likes beer, Brent Banks, Melanie, the Green Lady, Sir William Charles Moore, and Ryan Jacob. Thank you to the special ball buster for the night, Mr. Logan Bay, and to the Peanut Gallery as well. So long, guys. See you next week.
Remember, this is what we wanted. this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again, 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 again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again, 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 again.